opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning and welcome to Guardian Radio AM. Of course, this is C.A. Newry and I shall be your host for the day as we have an open line discussion day. Today is going to be an open line Tuesday. However, every open line, I tend to have things I want to actually discuss. But before that, I wanted to say that this show is actually being sponsored by Click Victory Fest. Click, the Bear of the Bahamas, invites you to Victory Fest 2025. Join us on Saturday, March 1st at Smuggler's Square for an epic celebration on the 24th of the 2024 Boxing Day 2025 New Year's Day Junkanoo winners, the Saxon Superstars. The Junkanoo seasons may be over, but the celebration is just getting started. Enjoy music by Playhouse DJs Little Giant and DJ Tank, and performing live, Fanshaw and D-Mac. Let's celebrate the 4 straight Junkanoo winners, Saxon Superstars. And I'd like to say thank you again for Click for sponsoring the show. Right, that's good. When you have two topics you want to, but they completely polar opposite. They completely different, but they are serious, sober conversations that I want to discuss. I want you to engage me because it's about, I'm not necessarily in frustration, right? But it's actually about some things you just don't want to talk about no more. Some things you just don't want to entertain anymore. Some things you say, man, it just ain't worth the trouble sometimes just talking about it. I'm not sure if you have noticed that it seems as if we have a epidemic. Now, that's a harsh word because we don't have an epidemic, right? But my point is that it's a serious thing that is plaguing our country, and I think that we need to have a sober discussion about it. I'm talking about, it seems as if let me go religious now. This is where my Pentecostal Baptist culture coming out, so forgive me, I'm going to go religious now. It seems as if we have a molestation spirit rising within the Bahamas. And I'm questioning whether this spirit is cultural, something that we have adopted, that we have seated in, that we have accepted. You know what I'm going to say? Accepted. When you see something and you just turn a blind eye to it, so therefore you have accepted it. Like today, I was reading in the newspaper, and hopefully I get to read that into the notes, right? To go on record, I was reading the newspaper, and this 30-year-old man was found guilty of molesting a boy. These things happen to him. But this boy, he, in quotes, adopted. Apparently, the boy and his son were friends, and the boy needed some place to live, and the son comes to Daddy, help my friend out. Help my friend out. He's poor. He has no place to stay. And the good gentleman and his wife, the good thing is the case already finished. He's getting sentenced now, right? The good gentleman and his wife took in. I don't even know what happened, how that happened. Just took in the boy who had no place to be. And later on, he's now accused of molesting the little boy he took in, right? And found guilty. So I guess there's a preponderance of evidence, but found guilty. And now they're waiting sentencing. And I can read how that is because it made me feel some sort of way, when one's salvation becomes one tormentor. Then recently we have the stories about the daddy. See, there's a song, Daddy Don't Touch Me There. Daddy Don't Touch Me There, I swear. You're supposed to be my father. You have that, Kermit? That's by that Jamaican lady, right? Every time I hear it, tears come down. Queen Africa. Every time I hear the tears come down my eyes, right? That as a daddy, you're supposed to be taking care of your children, right? You're supposed to be loving your children. You're shepherding your children. You're making sacrifices as your children. As a man, you say, no, that can never happen to my child, right? And then, recently we see the twins. One of them was a special child, right? And the daddy, right? The daddy molested his own children. Then you hear of stories about communities, family island communities in general, family even in Nassau, where people tell stories about the daddy is expected to be the first one to do things, right? And you hear this, and nobody's saying, let's go and investigate this and stump out this idle talk. But this is now a concept that it seems as if Bahamians have embraced it. Man, that's true. I hear they do that. Yeah, they do that. I have evidence that they do that, right? Social services make commentary. Yeah, they do that. Police make commentary. Yeah, they do that, right? And I said, can't be happening in a civilized society where we're a Christian nation, where we understand and appreciate God. But we have communities that just do that. I want to know if it's cultural. I want to know if there's an evil spirit that, if you believe, like you with Pentecostal and you believe in spirits and demons and things, I wonder if there's a spirit out there that causing young men, when I say young men, 21, 22, one, forcibly, let me say the right word, brutally rape a 80-year-old woman. There's nothing sexual about that. That gotta be demonic. That's a demon. I want to know if there's a demon loose. We have all those charismatic pastors out there who's exorcised demons. Is there a need to have a national day of prayer and exorcising so we get rid of this demonic force that seems to be on us? Especially when you have that narrative that the Bahamas is number one in rape in the Caribbean, like the top 10 in rape in the world, right? And then, you want to shed off these numbers. It can't be us, because we sensible people, we decent people, right? But it seems as if it's getting out of control, and nobody want to talk about it. Nobody want to talk about it. Today we're going to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about when politicians refuse to speak. That's my two contrasting topics. I have Aaron Green with me. I see the phone call blinking, so I'm coming to you shortly, caller. And I'm going to speak spiritual talk. I don't know if Aaron is go to church like that. I used to go to church every so often, funerals and weddings.
Just know I know where the church is.
When last you went to church, Aaron? See what I mean? That's my point. But I'm going to speak some spiritual talk today, right? And where I say there's a demonic force here, and I'm talking real talking now, right? And I want to know, what should we be doing? What should social services be doing? What should my member of parliament be doing? What should community activists and social activists, women and children activists be doing? They can't be silent, right? Because if they be silent, that means they condone it. That means it's cultural. It's a part of us. This is what we do. We molest children, right?
Wrong.
Let you do some commentary. No, I understand. I can let
you ask the question.
Go ahead, Aaron, because I'm going to the caller right next. Call, don't hang up. Yeah. I can let Aaron speak for 2 minutes.
No, I just want to say we have to throw a blow for common sense. When you ask the question, the right answer is no.
No, I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Let's go to the caller.
It's getting too common, Aaron. And like I said, when you hit the hair on your arms stand up.
Oh, man, I want to go to the caller, and then I could tell you about how we have a trend of not understanding what consent means, what bodily autonomy means. Even if children can't consent, you must understand what bodily autonomy means. It means the person have the right to control what happens with their bodies. And children who are vulnerable, we supposed to know. You don't worry about them. You, the adult, do the right thing.
Let's go to the caller. You can't. The man just had sex said that with the 16-year-old. What was a 16-year-old? Anyway, go.
The senior citizen.
Yeah. Anyway, Go ahead, caller. No, I talk about the policeman with the girl who's 13.
Oh, that
a
story
spirit.
about the attempt to procure sex
Yeah.
with a minor.
Let's go, caller. Can you hear me? Call a girl once. Call a girl twice. Kermit, let's go to the next caller there. Go ahead, caller. I waited too long. I was pontificating too long. Okay.
Well, let's tell this.
So all the lines are. Oh, phone call again. Kermit, patch that person through for me, please. Go ahead, caller. Guardian Radio AM.
As usual, I see you and your guest. How you doing?
Doing well, man.
Morning,
Doing well.
morning.
Hey, morning. I have a question for you, right? Why everything we have to be nice about and label cultural? Eating crab and rice, cultural. That's cultural.
See,
Going to Junkanoo? No. Going to Junkanoo is cultural. How could you label?
and I can tell you why. That's why I wanted to interject. All words have meanings, right? And culture, the word culture has a meaning. And by the meaning of culture means that you continue to do it and people accept it.
No. You're accepting it.
No. I'm not saying you all. When you see the majority of people not speaking out. Now, if you telling me the majority of Bahamians are loud and marching and protesting and angry and aggressively, if you could tell me that that's what's happening now. No, I'm just asking you, if you can tell me if that is happening now, tell me that is happening now, and I'll say it's not cultural.
So, see, this been happening. This been happening over 50 years.
See, you just agreed with me. It's cultural. You just agreed with me.
I don't want no one on radio or worldwide to think that we nasty like that.
You just said we've been doing it for 50 years. You just said
That
no.
means it's right. That ain't means it's cultural.
Here's an example of why it's cultural, right? I had a fisherman friend. Now, let me start off by saying we cannot paint all fishermen with the same brush, okay? My fisherman friends reminded me of that. But I have a fisherman friend, and he said there's two phrases that he hear all the time when he moving throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, including New Providence. The first is, it don't matter the age, we calculate the weight, right? That is cultural. They're saying we don't worry about how old they are, we are concerned about how mature their body looks. And then the second phrase is something, it's the grass on the field. See, that those phrases permeate across the archipelago suggests that it is cultural, right? That's why we say it's cultural. There's also the question of whether this behavior emanates from a specific subculture in the country.
Okay, let me ask you a question, right?
Yes, sir.
Anyone ever say something before to make you squint?
To make me squint?
What you say just now made me squint. That ain't cultural. Ain't no in this world. I accept that as being cultural.
Now listen,
That's a bunch of nastiness.
here's what I'm saying. You, sir, that's fine. We accepting that is not a part of your culture. We are also accepting that it's not a part of everybody's culture, that this behavior has not permeated every sector of the society, but that we have language, right, that describes it, the way we make the decision. Yes, and we have a culture, a subculture of nastiness. Here's another example of why it's cultural, right? See, having sex or engaging sexually with a minor, right, means that you are disregarding the rules around consent and bodily autonomy, right? This is not the only space where we see people flagrantly disregarding and ignoring the rules around consent and autonomy. See, on the roadways, when you don't stop at a stop sign, you are disregarding that the person who has the right of way, you're disregarding the person on the main thoroughfare has the right of way. See, we treat the concept of consent the same way, whether it's cars and on the road or if it's young people and bodies. That's my argument. I just putting it on the table as an argument.
Miss Green, that don't make it right.
I know.
We
I
ain't
agree.
saying
Not saying
it
it's
right.
right. We agreeing with you there. The behavior is not right, but it exists. And it exists in a way that suggests that some people, even if it's only minority groups, accept that as normal. That's all, sir.
Aaron, thank you very much, caller. Whilst we here,
Really appreciate your
look up
contribution.
the word culture and cultural so we can read that into the record so people can appreciate what the word means so they can also use it properly too. Go ahead, caller. Guardian Radio AM. Caller going once.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. You're on there.
Good morning. Good morning, Aaron. How are you going?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I don't want to be I like to say a troublemaker or so, but I wanted to ask Mr. Newry if you recall that he asked the question, what are activists and so forth doing in light of what we're experiencing as a country? But I want to remind him of something to help kind of set what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, about a year or more ago, having an understanding of community work and what's going on in our country, I availed myself to the Nassau Guardian, to your radio manager, and Mr. Newry, to talk about these issues and help our society to mitigate these issues and navigate our way through these inevitable issues from my standpoint and my study of work, knowing that this is the direction that our country was headed, and to no avail. And so what I want to say is that I believe in our country, we have to get beyond cherry picking who we want to have these conversations with or who we want to hear from versus hearing from people who are on the ground regularly and involved in this kind of work. And so that's one of the points I wanted to preference and say that we really need to stop cherry picking who we're going to hear from.
Remind me about your name, sir.
You know me, Mr. Newry, this Mandela.
Oh, but didn't you come on the show?
No, I never did.
You never come on the show at all?
The whole idea about it was for us to my discussion.
When you were wearing khaki fatigues and they said that's part of the uniform?
Yeah, but that was a different subject matter.
Exactly.
I was talking about child also when the same show.
We were talking, and for me at the time when I met with you guys, it was for us to use the Guardian platform with someone like me. You have the training from the Nassau Guardian.
Don't you work for government?
No, I no longer work for the government.
You quit your government job?
It wouldn't have been in the capacity of working for the government. But my point to you is that...
But where you work now?
Where I work is irrespective of the fact that...
I trying to understand what you do now, because when you work for government, that was part of the mandate. And we brought you on the show for that.
I'm no longer in government, but I'm still a community advocate. And I believe that the time has come where we are intentional as a people of addressing the underlying root cause of these issues.
So what type of work do you do now? I see you running for politics now, but what type of work do you do now?
I'm still involved in community work, sir.
But you have a main job now and community work?
I'm still involved in community work, sir.
But no main job?
I'm still involved in community work, sir. We're not here to discuss my...
Nice, just open line. I can discuss any topic.
No, that you choose to, but I choose not to. I called to discuss the fact that I said...
And I'm trying to find out now how I can make space for you. That's trying to get the background. That's why it's asking what you do now.
That space, sir. I'm a community advocate. I will always be a community advocate. That's who I am at heart, irrespective of where my income is coming from at this time.
Okay.
I'm a family man. God knows that I got things to do. I don't have to discuss that with you.
I see you had an event right across the road from my homestead. I sat across the road and watched you. I was very pleased. I'm just watching politicians come and try to pontificate what they're doing, especially in the community I grew up with and where I know everybody. I just found it interesting. Just saying.
And so for me, before being a politician, I'm a community advocate.
Okay.
I was raised by community. And so for me, at the community level, we need to become intentional about addressing the root cause of these issues.
Okay. So I will invite you to partner with some of the community inside the grants.
I lead a community crime prevention initiative called Each One, Reach One. In the next coming weeks or two, that's what the work you've seen me doing at the community level. In another coming week or two, we're going to be in the Bean and Grandstand community.
You're going to come back in my community again?
Doing the very where, well, obviously some other people came into your community last week, Saturday.
Yes.
And so I believe it's necessary. They say when the kingdom suffereth violence, we ought to raise a standard. And so I'm just coming to help raise that standard and provide whatever healing opportunities that I can for the community.
I appreciate that. Thanks very much, sir. Good. Let's go back. I just was saying, I know you ran for politics now, and that he is in the Comfort Street. You know, I grew up on Comfort Street. My old man house right across the road where he's at. So I was just making sure that this is not any political pandering on live air, right? That's why I was so aggressive with that. So they like play with us in Over the Hill. They like play with us just for votes. Anyway, let's go.
I forget the article in The Guardian today.
Let's go to the next caller.
You asked me to look up something, right?
Yes, what culture and cultural.
Culture versus cultural, right?
Yeah, man.
Culture refers to the shared beliefs, values, customs, and behaviors of a group of people, while cultural identity is how an individual personally relates to and defines themselves within that culture. Essentially, their sense of belonging to a particular cultural group, right? So from that last caller who argued that this behavior is not our culture, it is possible that the behavior we're talking about is the culture of a subset. You may belong to that subset, but you may not prescribe to that culture. You may be living within that culture, but your individual cultural identity opposes that. So you may say, look here, I know these things has happened, but I don't believe in that.
This text came in and says, Bahamian men believe they have a right to harass all women no matter the complete lack of interest the woman shows. I don't know if this is Bahamian because uncivilized men in the dark ages thought they had the free access to women and children too. Growing up in the city, we pursue women differently. We hands-on, we touch it, we do commentary. Some of the commentary is violent. Some of the women who respond violently at times, right? And I want to know, to bring back to the word culture, is this a cultural expression on how we date and communicate in this aggressive, violent way? And we go back on to the topic I had had.
Well, think about this, like the idea that people believe that a woman is a gift to a man, right? Like in their minds, that's your ultimate aim as a woman, is to belong or be attached to a man. So if you understand that that's what a lot of people think, then you could understand why they approach women and interacting with women in that way, because they think that you have an expectation. You're supposed to know this is what's going to happen, because your whole purpose of life is to eventually be attached to a man, to have a man choose you. But that's right. Not everybody within the community necessarily aligns with that culture.
In order, let me say, law dictates the culture, right? In order to subjugate certain ills in society, you have to acknowledge that a group of people practice this thing, right? At this present time, we have a violent society, right? So you attack it saying, let's weed out that culture by putting laws in place. I'm purporting that this is evil, either an evil spirit happening inside of the Bahamas, or there are a segment of society of men who believe that they have the right to molest children, they have a right to molest women, they have a right to molest any fragile persons inside the Bahamas. And if that is true, we need to impact laws in order to break that culture.
Okay, but let's start here. Let's imagine that there are things that we were taught and socialized into. There were things that were beaten into our ancestors within chattel slavery, right? And one of those ideas is that people can belong to other people, right? And this idea of power and dominance and violence to subjugate. All of these things were literally beaten into us. Maybe what it is we're doing is we are weeding these things out of our culture, right? We're saying that these are remnants. See, because we understand why people still hold these beliefs, why people still behave this way. I mean, if we look to our cousins to the north, I think it was in the 60s, like the last sharecroppers, like slavery technically actually ended in the 60s for some states, right? And so we're not far off from that experience. People really believed this. This was beaten into them, that you could own people, that people belong to you, that you have a right to chastise and punish people for not behaving the way you say they're supposed to behave. How do we weed those things out of this experience?
Recently in newspapers, it was mentioned that there was an uptick in the number of children being abused by their parents, sexually abused in the parents, right term for that.
So, I mean, incest is one word.
Incest, right? It's right in the newspaper.
But incest suggests a consent. This is...
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying with the newspaper,
Yeah.
they use the word incest. And I forgot the name, the word escaped me at the time. They said incest is an increase, right? I'm not sure if you've heard, but in terms of community talk, there are vehements who will say that there are certain communities, especially on the family islands, that incest is a part of what they do.
Early child sexual initiation.
You call it early child sexual initiation.
Almost like a rite of passage.
If that is true, that there is a habit or preponderance of people doing it,
that there's a community or a sub-community that this is an entrenched cultural practice within that community.
How do we solve that and how do we deal with that?
And how do we deal with it in a way that does not promote, does not evoke violence towards said community?
Yes. You think about that until I go to this caller right now. Go ahead, caller. Guardian Radio AM with CA Newry.
Good morning, Mr. Newry. Good morning, Ms. Green. How you doing?
Morning.
Mr. Green, Mr. Newry, I wonder if you could stand me for a minute here. The Declare, Hold, and Build initiative that the police is carrying out, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, I think when they went in there is because of gangs and gang activity and different stuff, and they wanted to go in there and take away the places that the gangs used to be using or whatever for for illegal activity, right?
And stashing of contraband, yes.
Yeah, but yes, ma'am. And I think they went into an entire. They went in. I know they did Anglestown already, right?
Right, that was the first community. Yeah.
Is that the only one so far?
I think so. Now, at the same time, so it's 3 stages, and I think that they may have gone through stages 1 and 2 in Engliston and may have begun stage 1 in another community. So
yes, ma'am. Because I heard them saying they're supposed to move to Nassau Village and Carmichael.
yeah, I know that they pronounced that those are the next 2 target areas.
Yes, ma'am. Because what I find interesting about it is because I can remember a long time ago, even from the time when the gentleman died, Stephen died, Stubbs or something like that, who was in jail, from the time years ago when I used to hear them talking about gang. Gang used to they used to be talking about gangs a long time ago around here.
Yeah, man.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I find it like they went into these communities, but there's when I heard the commissioner speak, she made a reference to one individual who they are monitoring and who they hope to bring to court before the court soon, right? Mm-hmm. So, but for me, Ms. Green and Mr. Newry, whenever I know that the government doesn't make laws and bills in a vacuum, you know what I mean, just to exist by itself, right? So whenever you see the government pass bills and laws, even if it's a year later, a week later, 2 years later down the road, you have to pay attention and stay vigilant. And when you see things that's going on that may be directed toward a bill or a law that they did, then you guys say, okay, I see it there. Because I find it, in my opinion, a twist of priorities for the police to put so much effort into going into communities for the sole purpose, like Ms. Knowles, the new commissioner said, she want to shut down all the stash houses and all the drug houses because the drugs causing a big problem, right? But see, they just passed the marijuana bill. And months ago, I said that don't be surprised now that all the competition got to get eliminated. You understand? So I see this exercise by our police officers who's supposed to be working for us as an exercise where they are carrying out initiatives to make sure that the road is clear for private individuals who tend to take over this marijuana business.
Okay, listen. I could appreciate the critique, but in this instance, I think that's entirely unfair to say. Engliston already, before the creation of a cannabis industry, that talk started, Engliston already, these issues were already manifesting in Engliston. Now, I thought you were going to say that we are using the police to circumnavigate a tricky legal dynamic where we don't have the legislation necessary to force property owners, right, to clear up or tear down and maintain properties in the ways necessary to sustain an urban renewal plan. I thought that's what you were going to say, because I can hold on, because I
Sorry about that.
I could appreciate that the police are doing something that a non-police agency should be able to do, which is identify property owners, identify the laws that are in breach, and encourage those property owners to come into compliance, right? But
yes, ma'am.
Now we have highlighted the issues caused by derelict property owners as public safety issues that now allow the police to come in with a program that allows them to effect the same result as a private agency could have possibly done. But I don't think that the police are being used to protect competition or to prevent competition in a cannabis market. I think that's unreasonable to say.
You made a statement 2 times, Ms. Green, that I was going to say, which is that they could have used someone else could have dealt with that.
Right.
I mean, the government could have sent around individuals from whatever and let them go around in one car. They could have sent a man drive around the car with a book, and he could have been writing this and telling you this could happen, this could happen. I mean, that could happen, Ms. Green. We didn't have to waste the resources of the police officers.
Okay, in this instance,
and the time and the country is struggling.
No, okay, so
violence,
pause.
Mom.
In this instance,
violence.
I don't think that this is necessarily a waste of resources. Now, the question is, can they sustain the gains made through the Clear, Hold, Build or Clear, Build, Hold program? That's the question.
I bet you they do that. I bet you.
But
I'm willing to bet that we're going to see effectiveness in terms of once they close down these places are going to remain closed because, like I said before, certain individuals now, they in the competition now. So
yeah, man.
The boys in the street, who's to mind their business doing that?
We're gonna transition here, right? I gotta go, and I'm gonna end it by saying this, right? The idea that the Clear, Build, Hold initiative has, if not a primary purpose, an auxiliary purpose of destroying competition in an imminent cannabis market, that's absolutely ridiculous, right? In the alternate, I want to say that you cannot be defending drug dealers that can't even keep their community safe. We can't even be tolerating that. You see how hot I was yesterday? We ain't tolerating that. You cannot suggest to me that type of competition should be protected, or that drug dealers have created an environment in communities that should render us to regard them as community stakeholders? No, sir. We're not promoting that foolishness.
Let's take this caller, Kermit, and then we go right to commercial break so we can transition and talk about the next topic again. Go ahead, caller. Guardian Radio AM.
Good morning, guys. How are you all this morning?
Good, thank you. Thank you for your patience.
I think it's time that the government amend the laws when it comes to derelict properties and derelict vehicles, that we can start putting ordinance on these property owners and these derelict vehicle owners. And with the properties, you give them a certain length of time to have the property cleaned up. And if the government, if that particular agency has to come back to that particular property owner more than twice, then the property be confiscated. That means they're not interested in taking care of the property. This is where the government don't have to spend money, and the Treasury will gain more money to do other things with. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
The question, will a policy shift Will enhancing or reforming the laws related make community development more effective? Or did the state or the police say we cannot wait for that policy shift? Let us use what's available to us by labeling this a public safety issue, right? And that enables them to deploy programming.
We're going to come back. We're going to shift the direction of the show right now. We're going to talk about the culture of being quiet. Is there eminent culture of we ain't talking to the media no more? We ain't talking to you all no more. I'm going to just read some things into the record and have you decide what is our future. This is Guardian Radio AM. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
They'll call you in for your x-ray shortly.
That's why they call it a waiting room. You won't have that problem at 4th Terrace Diagnostic Center or Imaging at Grosvenor. We never schedule multiple appointments, so you'll be in and out in no time. And if your initial screening reveals a concern, our radiologist can conduct an alternative screening right then and there. Call 328-8157 to schedule an appointment at 4th Terrace Diagnostic Center or Imaging at Grosvenor today.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the lottery of love at Everybody Wins.
I love you.
Everybody Wins is giving away over $100,000 in cash prizes in the Lottery of Love.
I love you.
All February long, every $20 spent, you'll receive a raffle ticket. The more you spend, the more chances to win. And you could be among the 30 winners randomly selected on February 28th to win $10, $20, or even $30,000.
I love you.
It's the Lottery of Love at Everybody Wins. Remember to game responsibly and get ready to win.
Heed the call to action against abuse and violence and for hope and healing. Join Women Walk 2025, Saturday, March 8th at 9 a.m., Clifford Park. Come, walk, pray, wear purple or white. Stand up for a strong, healthy community. A free event, Saturday, March 8th at 9 a.m.
You try to rest, but roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers. For window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com. and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Daddy, don't touch me there. I'm gonna tell on you one day, I swear. Can't you see I'm scared? You're supposed to be my father. Ooh, Daddy, don't touch me there. I'm gonna tell on you one day, I swear. Can't you see I'm scared? You're supposed to be my father. Every day I wonder why my daddy...
Welcome back in Radio AM. We had two different discussions that we wanted to discuss today. We're transitioning from the last discussion where I am concerned about this seems to be this increasing number of molestation inside the Bahamas, increasing number of rapes inside the Bahamas, especially targeting vulnerable people, senior citizens, young babies, boys being targeted. And I am concerned. And I want to know is how do we address and solve this issue? Is this a new trend that we need to invest in rooting out? And how do we root that out? Even had activists call and said, well, perhaps we need to talk more about it, right? And I'm saying, where are the government initiatives? Where are the police initiatives? How can we partner with the existing regiment that the government and the police are doing right now, right? How do we partner with that? Another topic I want to talk about.
Just before you transition, I have tried to have conversations about what it means to have authority vested in you, right? Normally we talk about it from a policy space, right? Like from a governance space, from a leadership space. But I also have wanted to broaden that discussion. Right? That's a part of it. Do we understand how we reconcile what authority means? Because in many instances, it appears adults think that having authority over a child means that you could do whatever you want with a child, whether it is beat them, right, or molest them. And so we're going to do ourselves a favor, a service, if we continue to explore culturally, what does having authority vested in you mean? What does it mean to have authority over someone or be in a position of authority over someone? And how do we operate that authority?
Get those two articles I have there. Let me engage this caller here and squeeze them in. Go ahead, caller.
Hello. Good morning. How are you?
Doing well?
Aaron, I'm listening to your conversation, you and the young man.
Wait. If you don't know the name of the show, that's my show, you know.
I know the show, but I'm saying I'm listening.
Yeah, but you can't say the young man.
I can't remember your name right now.
I see. That's why I can put you on pause. You got to at least know it's my show, and then acknowledge me first, and then you go speak to Aaron. I did that. You said see a Newry show,
okay,
and then call me, okay. And then you call me the young man. I got problems for that, man.
Okay, you see, this is my point. What I'm getting at.
That's my point. You understand my point?
I'm going to get at something else also.
Go ahead.
Similar. She used a term called subculture. Now, I find that to be not communicating, because what subculture we have around here that you don't want to identify? Hello?
If I told you that I found that there are far too many instances in church communities of people in authority abusing said authority with young people in their care, would that be the answer you're looking for?
No, I don't think you...
That's not the answer you... That's not what you thought I meant.
Right.
He's baiting you, Aaron.
Let me cause, you know, you ain't going to give me much time.
Yeah,
Let me get... finish. Is something wrong with everybody? And we'll never come to the answers to that. Let me give you a case in point.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been married, and I'm 65. What is wrong with me?
That's a big issue.
Now, because the norm is to get married when you're young, have your children when you're young, so they could help take care of you, in most cases.
Mm-hmm.
So what is wrong with me? Well, I'm a happy man.
You've never been married for real?
Never been engaged.
Some people will say you escaped unscathed.
Yes, I did.
Some people say you had good sense.
I accept that with honor.
Some people may recognize that you were in a position where you were taking care of people your entire life and never had an opportunity to explore a romantic relationship.
I've had many. You could dress it up how you want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll never be able, because I'm 65 now, almost in the grave.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have the time to explore it. So now, what I'm trying to get at, something is wrong with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We all have drug addicts, alcoholics, some of the same sex, some who just play crazy, want to kill and murder, or who just rob. But we have to find another way of dealing with this thing. You try to pinpoint one thing, and there's a whole lot of things that come under this same topic, what you're talking about, what you're not touching. And to make matters worse, you're not speaking to the people who need to try and understand what you're talking about. You're speaking above their head. The words and terms you all use, you're not speaking to the average people. And you know the majority of the population, they say, is the average, and some even lower. So who are you all trying to reach? See, this is the problem. Is just y'all don't speak to reach the mass of the people who having these problems, although the rich have them also, but we don't talk about the rich.
I talk about them all the time.
Talk about their business.
That's the only thing I could talk about. Naive and rich. I write on the fringe. See, I write on the cusp.
But you don't hear nothing
fringe.
about the rich, because they're able to take care of their situation or pay their way out of their situation.
And
only the poor you see going to court for these kind of things.
Right, but when the victim is also rich, they also trapped in that same trap. Right? I know plenty victims of domestic violence in upper class communities, and those victims' stories are never heard because the perpetrator is rich.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to you now, try to reach the subculture you spoke about.
Okay.
Finally, let's reach them.
Thank you very much. Okay. And hopefully he remembered that I showing know my name when you call at 11
But at the
o'clock.
very least, he was chastising me. Maybe that's a good thing.
Still say, hey, CA Newry, let me tell you, you're in this.
Yeah,
And then start.
That is the most
You know?
appropriate thing. Say, CA, hold on, let me row Aaron for a
Yeah,
second.
Yeah.
I like that.
I had the show for 4 years now. Got at least know my name, man.
Mm-hmm.
4 years now.
But I'll be honest with you, when it's chafing, don't mind that. Just let them slide it right over to me.
Read my article, please.
All right, so we have 2 articles to read right now. The first is Mitchell says answering questions, quote, isn't worth the trouble, close quotes, sometimes. This is in today's Nassau Guardian. Amid backlash over a cabinet minister's revelation that the government rehired nearly 500 retirees, Minister of Foreign Affairs, not
German.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Fred Mitchell said sometimes it, quote, isn't worth the trouble, close quotes, to answer questions in this country. I just want you have to buy today's Nassau Guardian because you won't make sense of that first paragraph if you don't see the picture under the caption. He made the comment in a voice note on Monday as he again lamented the reaction from the Free National Movement and some in the labor movement to the rehires. Once he didn't call my name. I'm glad that I'm not a part of this.
They call your name all the time.
Not me. Not me. And quote, in many respects, you can see why sometimes answering questions in this country, it isn't worth the trouble, really, close quotes, Mitchell said.
And this is why I had you read that. And it's problematic, right? As a member of parliament, your job is to answer questions. And to come to us and say that you don't feel that it's appropriate to answer questions, this is a waste of time to answer questions because people don't understand. It's problematic when it comes to being accountable to the Bahamian people. You representing us. You can't say such things. You can't say such things.
Let me read all of it. I got 2 articles to read. Let me put on my QC hat. Quote, I get the impression that people don't want to know the truth. I don't know how he would have gotten that impression. Who gave you that impression, sir? Get back to the article. I repeat, quote, I get the impression that people don't want to know the truth. All they want to do is find something to row about, close quotes, he said, questioning why critics want to attack police officers or teachers being rehired to fill needed gaps. Mitchell said data from the latest census, we go to page A5, shows birth rates in the country have fallen, leading to a declining population. He said many people will have to work beyond the age of 65, the current retirement age, in order to keep the Bahamian economy going. Despite the data, he said many people seem to not want to face reality.
See, I just don't accept that explanation from why our government is hiring so many retirees, that we have a birth shortage. I just can't.
Remember when I told you I was changing my life and because of
I just can't.
a word hit me? I thought it was God, but then it was the statistics people, the census people saying that births are down.
I appreciate you say you hired them because we have a shortage of skill set. But this explanation and then people challenging it, you can't get flippant in the response.
Listen, you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Quote, that's one of the reasons why I refuse to talk about immigration, close quotes, he said. Quote, people don't want to know the facts. The facts like the last census tells us the rate of birth in the country is below a replacement level, so the population is declining. The only reason we grew over the last 10 years is because of immigration. Quote, the country is getting older. Young people are getting to be a smaller percentage of the population. So our country's economy will require more and more people to work beyond the age of 65 if we are to survive. I didn't make that up. The census is clear.
And that also is problematic because that suggests that the migrant immigration problem we have is a good thing and that the government as a policy will not address it because we are declining in our population.
Also, we don't like answer questions because it ain't wait our time.
And that should be as a part of a political debate in terms of for the election. Is this a PLP policy to allow immigrants to come in because our population is declining, which the explanation suggests.
All right. And continue reading. I didn't make that up. The census is clear. It's just unfortunate that the people who did the census refused to come and speak to political parties on the false argument that there is going to be... Let me repeat that, sir. I stumbled. This is Fred Mitchell, Minister of Foreign Affairs speaking. I didn't make that up. The census is clear. It's just unfortunate that the people who did the census refused to come and speak to political parties on the false argument that there's going to be some kind of political contamination, close quotes, he said. What about ordinary people? Did they refuse to come and speak to ordinary people? Is it right? And perhaps it will create a type of conflict of interest, if not political contamination. That is the end of Mr. Mitchell's commentary. Let me continue this article. PM defers answers for question time, 20th of February, 25th, that's last week, Thursday. At the first question time in the House of Assembly in nearly a year, Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis said yesterday he was not ready to answer questions that have been on the agenda since 2023. Quote, I appreciate that the member has some questions for me. It was hoped that he would direct the questions to the persons who are ready to give the answers today. Close quotes, Davis said, quote, the member of Freetown is ready with his answers. I think he has 2 questions for that member. Golden Gates is ready. You have 2 questions for her. Carmichael, you have questions for, and he's ready. And Elizabeth is ready. So just, I think, to facilitate this, I would wish that the member consider what we have said and direct those questions. I am not ready at this time to give him all the answers that he needs. Close quotes, Davis was responding to a question from Freeman National Movement leader Michael Pintard about a consultancy contract with McKinsey and Company. Davis said that he would have answers by the next question time. Though question time is scheduled for the second Wednesday of each month, yesterday's 30-minute period was the first since March 2024.
It seems as if we are developing a new culture too, a new culture of obfuscating answering questions. But I want to continue the conversation about immigration in reference to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, because he said he didn't want to speak about immigration.
So you say you don't like answering questions,
and
that's why.
I want to concentrate on that, and I can do that on Thursday. This has been Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Newry. Have a wonderful day.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.